Welcome in, everybody on Instagram, everybody on Rumble, and welcome to the Ascended Podcast. This is episode 16. I'm Caleb Schilke, the host,
Anthony Parra.
and let's get into it. People love to say, first of all, that NFTs as a technology, if you know what that is, are dead. NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? If we're talking about cartoon apes that somehow sold for tens of ethereum, right? Or crypto punks, right? If you know what those are, those pixelated kind of profile picture style artworks that sell for now 50 ethereum a piece or $200,000 with no real value behind it in an off-season market. Yeah, then most of those are probably dead to me as well, except for those few lucky collections. But here's the twist. The dying was probably the best thing that can happen to NFTs. And although I make a bold point every time, this is going to be the point that I stand on throughout this podcast. Dying off technology, in this case, actually helped NFTs. Because in my opinion, it cleared the noise and it exposed the frauds. It made people, like anything else in history, more cautious and more analytical. So the people who actually cared about this technology, this way of doing business, this way of transacting, and truly saw the value and the sentiment behind the movement, they stood in. And now we get to focus on the real future, which is the birth of a term I'm going to talk about a lot today called protocols. So Anthony, when you hear people say like NFTs are dead online, and let's be critical of ourselves too, right? Because I don't want you guys just to hear this and think that we're trying to sell you our NFT collection, so it's like we're trying to like butter it up or anything like that. Let's say for the past year or so, before we got into any of this, when you heard people say NFTs are dead, what do you think they actually meant by that? What do you think that phrase meant?
I think what they meant by that was nobody's buying them, or that their value. I think people started to view them like they do artwork in a museum in some sense. I'm not talking like the Mona Lisa, but in the sense that it's kind of, people have caught on to the fact that a lot of the artwork that we go and that is available for view in museums, like in contemporary areas, is like artificially inflated as far as its value, just because like we've all understood that it doesn't necessarily, a price tag on a piece of art doesn't necessarily mean that's what it's worth. It means like someone probably paid an appraiser that's in their circle of friends to say this artwork is worth this much. Simultaneously, the artist who painted it was also paid by the same original guy. And so now this thing that he had to pay an artist 10 grand to make, an appraiser 5 grand to appraise at 10 million. Now he can say he can donate that art piece that's his. It costs him 12 grand and it's appraised at 10 million. So then it's like donating $10 million to a charitable organization. So I think that kind of wrap around artwork is probably somewhat of what's leaking into why people have been saying for a while that NFTs are dead. It's like, we're not going to pay attention to that. The same way people don't pay attention to contemporary art as much.
I like to say that an industry is as good as the bad apples in it, essentially. And in this case, like there were a lot of bad apples running around in the first NFT cycle. You had the founders disappearing after the mint. You had people sending their money off to a project and never getting a token or anything like that. So like the people that there was a high quality of scammers, right? Look at the meme coin market right now. Like most of those are just rug pulls. So you basically know you're probably almost going to guarantee you lose your money if you buy into those and you try to like hold on to that token. You're either in or you're out, or you're basically risking all your capital when you enter one of those trades because it's just swept out beneath your feet. And so the expectation now is that every time I get into a meme coin, it's basically I'm buying a pile of dirt. And the same thing kind of happened with NFTs because so many people got greedy and turned it into a way to take money and opportunity that the people that wanted to use them for the utility behind that kind of got like obscured in the fact that most people were losing money. And so for the retail trader, that kind of just scarred the reputation a little bit. 2021 essentially was like Vegas, but with better Wi-Fi. You had people flipping JPEGs of the Bored Ape Yacht Club or monkeys, essentially, until they were Fortune 500 companies worth dozens of Ethereum, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You had celebrities. I remember seeing Justin Bieber purchase a Bored Ape for like a few $100,000. We're like, what is he doing? But then you're like, damn, maybe there is money in these things. And so the common everyday investors like, I can get rich with this. Overnight millionaires started popping up like drop shipping gurus, right? And so like betrayal, right? I think that happened because projects promised roadmaps. They promised community and continuity. They promised utility, that they were going to be around for the long term. We're actually building a project of people that want to stay together. And most of them ended up ghosting on their people. And so, Anthony, when you saw these like projects blow up and you started hearing the news, you kind of see the same thing with meme coins, I'd say nowadays. What did you think at the time that was happening? Did you ever think it could actually last for a lot of those, or how did your perception take on?
I assume not. I assumed it was going to be just a fad thing that kind of comes and goes, and I think that's still the perception of a lot of people. I mean, that was a topic of discussion for today's NFTs are dead. I saw them and I was like, there's just no way. I didn't really understand the concept actually. I really didn't understand what non-fungible token meant. Like I just saw it. I would partook in the occasional like, oh, I got your token meme, where you'd be like just screenshot. You know what I mean? I kind of was on like the clowning train. I made fun of it too, just because I didn't quite understand it, but I definitely didn't see it lasting.
It's really like anything, right? And to be honest, NFTs were the easiest, given they were backed by crypto, right? Which was essentially untraceable for the most part, right? You had to do your research on the blockchain if you actually want to figure out who owns a wallet, right? You can still track it legally and stuff if there's like crimes committed, but it's generally pretty hard to figure out who owns what wallet. And so like pump and dumps, right? Like most of these founders can just disappear, and to them it's free money. But then you also have, the community ending up, kidnapping people, right? That do rug pulls and stuff to get their justice. And so it's kind of like a toxic community of people. So it's like for every one person that made a lot of money that you see on the internet, of course, that's the only video that blows up. You have 100 people losing everything. It's the same with meme coins, right? So no wonder people think the community in the space is dead. It's just because people trusted the wrong leaders. How many times in human history do investments, business ideas, communities pop up, and then the actual leaders are the people that work behind the scenes, and the people that you see on social media are the people that don't necessarily understand the content and are there tarnishing the reputation. It's happening with e-commerce. It's happening with stock trading, fitness, I'm sure, as you can see a lot of times. So like, let me ask you, do you think the tech itself died or just the hype behind it?
I wouldn't say the tech itself died. I think that there's a lot of good uses for something like this. Like, I know this is a concept you and I have talked about, but like, what if your next Travis Scott concert was like an NFT you had to purchase as like the ticket, and it's like instead of just framing like the ticket to this Travis Scott concert you went to and keeping it above your headboard, like you can have this digital asset that's like, look at this thing that I had, only if like a few hundred of them were made. So I don't think the tech is dead. I think it's more the hype for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can essentially have a verifiable image, right? Sure, you can take a screenshot of it, but that's not the same as saying, this, I can show you I purchased this in 2013 and I went to the Taylor Swift concert, Eras tour. Like that wasn't out yet, right? But the Taylor Swift tour, whatever it was, because I'm a Taylor Swift fanboy, right? Or whatever you are. And you have it in your crypto wallet, and somebody could look and say, like, that's the same as you pulling out that rumpled piece of paper that has like row F seat 16 on it. That's like, damn, they have a collectible item for something that actually happened. That's fucking sick. But it's on your phone. So like it never expires. You never have that crumpled piece of paper. It's just like you get to hang on to that forever. And so it's infinitely collectible. Now some people would argue, right, the collectability of it is the fact that it loses, like it decays. You can see like the wear of that over time. It's like an authentic heritage type item, but having it digitally really is no different, especially when that gives you value and like that continues to give you membership into something, right? If that was a ticket that gave you access to all of Taylor Swift's concerts, well, then the ticket would like fall apart after you kept it in your pocket 20 times. But now you have a token that you can keep scanning and scanning and scanning, and it shows that it's actually verified. And you can, as long as you have your phone with you, you don't need to carry anything. You basically have utility anywhere. I think we both see the value there. And the question begs, what actually survives after that initial crash? Or we can look at what did survive. It wasn't just JPEGs, right? The only like monkey picture profile PFP cartoon style characters were like the really big ones that had celebrity backing, that were already worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everything else was basically a rug pull. It was a scam. And that's what ruined the community, in my opinion. What survives is the reason people should have been in NFTs from the beginning: the infrastructure, proof of ownership, proof of access, proof of membership. So, Anthony, do you think people even realize that companies, for example, like Starbucks and Nike, with their like membership passes, their tokens that they can add to their Apple Wallet, stuff like that, are already using NFT tech just without the label? Do you think most people, do you even know that that's kind of how that works already?
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that, but I don't think many people are. I think it's similar to a lot of industries. Like, AI was probably another example in general where big companies were probably taking advantage of that, as far as like replacing virtual assistants, for example, way before like the mainstream media caught onto it, and then it becomes this thing everybody uses. So yeah, I mean, and even though NFTs are not something that's new, like I think that if there is, I think a surefire way to say there is some value to be had in some sort of concept, like we just mentioned, AI or NFTs, is to see what the major players, like what are the major companies doing and using. And if there's any sort of value to be had, you best believe like the bigger companies are going to be using it themselves.
Yeah, essentially just imagine a more secure form of like, I'm trying to think of something that's like really common, but for example, like maybe you're a Starbucks rewards member. So you have like a coupon code on your Apple Wallet to scan, or like, let's just say your plane ticket, right? Like think about if you ever flown in the airport, like your plane ticket, you can add it to like your wallet on your phone. And so you can like scan your phone instead of carrying around the physical boarding pass. That's probably one of the best ways or examples to give what NFTs do without you guys thinking about it. But instead of United keeping the infrastructure or Apple keeping the infrastructure, the blockchain stores that information. So Anthony, who doesn't have the hundreds of millions or billion, or I guess trillions of dollars that Apple has, that's their valuation, right? Like he's just an average dude, right? That can start the same thing, and he can across a million people verify in real time their ownership without needing to spend all that money on the infrastructure, just because NFTs are already on a blockchain that is backed worldwide. And anybody in the world can in real time get live verification that that's Anthony's token. And most people don't see that, but it's all around them, right? Like you buy that ticket to the airport or your Starbucks gift card, whatever it's going to be. So they're calling them like digital collectibles, access passes, sometimes even just straight up gift cards are like that. But the word NFT might be dead, which is why it's like saying, it's like saying meme coin, right? But the function is everywhere. It's like anybody can make their own money. Anybody can start their own meme coin. Donald Trump started a meme coin and that still exists. And that's where protocols come in. So I want to talk about this word protocols, but I want Anthony, I don't know if you know, but can you do you know what the difference is between a project and a protocol in your own words?
No, I have no idea. I won't even pretend like I do.
So that's kind of your nerdy guru terminology that actually is pretty damn important to what we're doing with Altura or will do. Not necessarily that you have to know it, but just this is what's going on behind the scenes. So protocols are different. Protocols are designed to last 100 years. And this isn't necessarily about the technology itself. It's about what an NFT does for someone. Protocols are not about hype cycles and they don't go up and down. They might be founded during a hype cycle, but they're about the rules and structures that endure. Can you briefly just, do you know, you can probably describe what a DAO is, right? A DAO. Can you give a few words for the average person to get an understanding of what that is?
Yeah, kind of put me on the spot. As far as I understand it, it'd be like a access to a fund or foundation or some sort of organization that is shared by a group, and then the people in that group are the ones also putting into it so that they can all share the benefits of what that organization does.
I think yeah. Basically, easiest way to describe it. Now, disclaimer, it's not this, and I'm gonna tell you it's not this because legally it isn't this. It's a different thing, but it functions the exact same way, basically, as I buy a stock in a company, I get one voting share. Like I get a voting right. So you're buying an NFT, you get a share, right, of that, whatever company it is. You get a role in the decision making, like if you own stock in a company. Now, most of us only own like 5 shares of Apple at the most, right? So we're not like going to the boardroom and like putting our votes in, because usually it's like people with millions of shares that are making the big level decisions. They're in the boardroom. Same thing works with Altura. Those of you that own a substantial amount of NFTs kind of get to have like more of a voiced opinion, but everyone still gets a vote. DAOs just allow it so you don't have to like go through all the technical details to get to Apple's website and like figure out what the votes are on, all that stuff. We're just in an open space like community, and we put the polls out. And if you're already a member, it's that easy to just decide what goes and what doesn't. And because you're already verified as having ownership. And it's more on a power to the people level rather than like my 1 share versus your 25 million shares, right? Because there's not that many tokens to begin with. Basically leveling the playing field essentially a little bit. But again, legally, it's not the same as a share. It's just, that's the easiest way to describe it. And so the power of a DAO, what is that, using the inference on what I just said there, what do you think the benefits are compared to just buying my NFT because you like the look of it? What do you think the utility is behind having a DAO structure and not just, trying to buy it as an investment?
Yeah, I think in my own words, the utility to having the DAO structure would then mean you not only are gaining value from purchasing, like from the value of the NFT going up, like owning that NFT is more of just the key that gives you access to what the DAO is producing, like businesses that, or things that, yes, like business decisions that the DAO as a whole, in combination of all the votes, is making on. You also get the value that those decisions produce, or you get access to whatever it is that the DAO is voting on.
Yeah, and that's basically the one word answer is you get a say. You get like say. You get to have an impact on what goes on. Like you don't necessarily, most people will never utilize their votes. That's actually the power of company like big corporations like BlackRock, like people that have ETFs and retirement funds managed by BlackRock or Vanguard. What most of you don't realize is the reason those companies have so much power and so much influence over the markets is because when you sign up your retirement with Vanguard or BlackRock, they get to like you keep the share, but they get access to use the vote to their say. Like you don't get to use your vote anymore. So you might be buying into a fund that allows you to have like a share of the company, but those big corporations get your say, which is honestly more important a lot of times when you're driving something as intimate as what Altura is. And so the say is sure it's sometimes like undervalued, but in a community where you can quite literally decide the impact of your future in business, in technology, in your network, and the way we drive success forward and not just making decisions at a corporate level, right? That's critical because this community is going to be driven by its members. History shows us this. The Enlightenment, right? It wasn't just a bunch of random smart people in isolation. It was what was called salons. You had salons of like a hair salon, right? Of people that were very smart coming together to share ideas and how they thought the world worked. And when those clashed, they had to work those out. They had people that shared their input. And it was only in collecting all of the input, right? Instead of just the rich elites input, where you actually got the best ideas formed from the common person. Groups shape the future behind closed doors, but it only worked when you had a massive amount of feedback, not just 10 people sitting at a boardroom, which sure Altura shares, but our boardroom's more of a veto right. Like we'll put a final say on things. We're not gonna make the decisions. You get to have a direct say. You get to bring up the ideas that might reshape humanity in the future. And that's what Altura is built on. It's built on chain. So I'm gonna say one more thing, and I have a question for you. Again, so we have 8,888 tokens. I like to call them passports or kind of entry tokens. $1 million plus in community funds. You get a vote in where that $1 million or more over time, right, as we invest it, will go to. So if you need $5,000 to start your fitness coaching business, let's say, Anthony, if you're brand new, you come to us, you talk to everyone on a stream like this, and you say, hey guys, like I know you're all members here. I have this great idea. What if we like automated, this part of, fitness, whatever it is, something like that. We have this idea for a business that allow us to do this. We need $5,000. Altura can keep 20 or 30% of the company. The board will most likely work out the fine details of like what percentage we want to kind of offer in exchange for that. We can vote on it too, but it depends on the speed and size of the negotiation. And then Altura will put their name on your operating agreement. You'll get that money. You don't need a business credit score. You don't have to go through traditional banks. And we'll challenge the system. You'll be able to take the funds and actually get a fair shot at opportunities to succeed without getting charged 40% interest because you have a business credit. And not a lot of credit to back it. So you have global meetups in exchange. You have the education that comes from the community, the founders that we're going to be able to help produce for you guys to teach you how to use these resources, that teach you how to succeed in business if you don't know what you're doing. University style lessons, right? Built like an accelerator, the same way I'm teaching you guys stuff right now. And most importantly, sovereignty, like what you don't get in the financial world typically. A system where you as an entrepreneur don't have to kneel down and just beg to get a business credit card started or an LLC started and hope that you don't have high interest rates for your first few months. When you hear the word syndicate, Anthony, what does it make you, what is the kind of the first word that comes in your head? What do you think of? And how do you see Altura fitting into that? Let's just start with the first part. What do you think when you hear syndicate?
The first word that came to my mind was iteration, which is interesting just because when I think about it, I mean, syndicate and all that we put into it makes me think of iteration because it's like this continuous pattern of growth, this continuous, not in the sense that it's like a shiny object syndrome, but like always taking new opportunities and giving opportunities to those that otherwise wouldn't have them in an effort to like bring more people together closer to achieve a common goal, which is to achieve sovereignty. And then you iterate it again and then again and again and again. So it's iteration and growth, and that's what that makes me think of.
Okay, so then how would Altura fall into that vision?
Well, that'd be the mechanism by which you achieve, by which you enable, I should say, other people to achieve sovereignty as well. One of the things I really love about this project is that that aligns deeply with one of my most important goal as far as my life in this world goes is achieving complete sovereignty. And I think that that's such a huge advantage to be able to take an opportunity through what we were building through Altura to like, as a small business owner or somebody who has a great idea that's just otherwise a normal guy and just it just lacks like either direction or the funding really, can find opportunity in something like this where you don't have to just get taken advantage of by the systems currently in place that otherwise would definitely take advantage of you as a young startup. Use this money, use this direction, use the sense of community, build something bigger from yourself, and then continue maintaining being a part of this community. And then once again, iterate. And I think that's where I see Altura playing into that vision.
Like the vision itself, every night before I go to bed, guys, like I am manifesting this. I'm going to teach you guys exactly how to do that at a more practical level, but makes you more confident of the vision. It kind of tells you almost exactly what you need to be doing, but I see it. Like I quite literally see myself on the computer. I see thousands of you guys in the computer with me on Discord. I see us running a multi-million-dollar community fund. There's dozens of people launched in businesses that have Altura written on the operating. There's global summits. You guys can like plan out, okay, in November, I'm going to go to the Altura meetup in, Toronto or like San Francisco or Denver, whatever it's going to be near you. There's both online and in-person meetups, right? So if you don't have the funds, you could either potentially try to get it from the community. We might try to give out some of that, or you guys can just attend online and ask your questions and have no different input than if you were there in person, just so we give everybody the fair shot, no matter how you're starting out. That's exactly what I was looking for and why I want that to be such an important point for us. I wanted to get answers. It was so hard for me to find a mentor and like learn how to get into any of this content creation, putting myself out there, becoming a better speaker and editor, all that stuff for my content. And we want to give you guys the equal chance to succeed. Basically what America should be going for right now. The American dream of giving everyone that fair shot, the same amount of access to resources, the same education. We're doing it at a small level. Eventually it'll be big enough to spread globally, like in terms of actually reshaping society. I actually genuinely believe that. And I see that happening too. But for right now, it's got to start with the people that believe the most in what I'm saying right now. People sitting across from each other, right, in actual real boardrooms that are no different. That could be in 20 years old, right? Starting real ventures. So Anthony, I mean, just based on that, I don't know if you've taken the time to see that vision for yourself too, but between like the funding for your business, right, the summits, the community and engagement of people itself, like what kind of parts excite you the most that we've talked about?
The thing that excites me the most would be to see young founders being given an opportunity to like channel their thoughts, their time, their energy into something that we all have faith in as far as its ability, its potential to grow. And I think the reason that excites me the most is because in a lot of ways, that's also me. Like it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I still don't even really feel like I know what I'm doing 100%, but that was definitely me in the beginning. I had a ton of drive, ton of ambition, all the passion about my subject in the world, but sometimes it's very difficult. Like that's the hardest part, is like knowing where to start and what to do and how to channel that in a way that makes sense and will actually see real time or real growth and not just kind of, the next thing to get me by kind of growth. So there's that. Global meetups as well, even just online, but also in person, excites me a ton, just to expand, to give all of us an opportunity to expand our networks and be with people that are of the same or higher caliber. Like, the saying, right? You become like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. That excites me a lot, is to be with like-minded individuals that are here to grow and to learn and to develop things and to produce in this world instead of just this, the constant mentality of consuming. Those are probably the 2 things that excite me the most, for sure.
And that's why it's bigger than a drop. I mean, the floor price will rise. It has to, because who wouldn't want to buy into that type of network? You pay a few $100 and you have guaranteed constant development of the best resources that we can literally choose your own success, right? By partnering, and the tools that we develop that you get to use to run your business, that we can pay, enterprise subscription plans for and give access to everyone. All of that stuff that we make partnerships with are companies that are started by you guys or that you guys believe in. And so we get to come together to succeed. And any time that was talked about, again, in human history, like the Renaissance or the Enlightenment, American Revolution, any of the revolutions, were a bunch of people that just decided that it was kind of in quite literally your own hands to take action. Type on the keyboard, put your damn wallet address in, buy an NFT, pay the few $100, and prove to yourself that you can commit to a broader vision. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I understand a lot of you, although I'm asking you, right, like to commit and to pay money. Most of you guys are scared because I'm still talking about NFTs. I'm still talking about something that is so rug pulled, is such a scary opportunity, like meme coins and things like that. So I purposely bake time in here to address this. I'm going to be honest with you. Most people and most projects, mindsets around this died because they ended at mint. Founders cash out, they bought their fucking little sports car, whatever it is, and they disappeared. That's why people think NFTs are dead, because the leaders of those projects weren't showing their face like this and showing you guys the exact vision a month before mint, and doubling down, tripling down, investing my personal money and stuff into these ventures, because a lot of people got burned because of it. They just didn't believe in it. So I can only show you guys so much. I'm putting my time in. I'm doing everything possible to show you that I'm tying myself to this as much as possible. I've quite literally, yesterday I shared a post with the Altura account. I'm linking it to myself as much as possible. So if this goes down, I'm going down with this ship. My reputation's bad. I have no choice but to burn the boats and to succeed on this. And hopefully that's the reason we stand out. But, you know, Anthony, if somebody asked you, if they didn't know, first of all, what Altura was, and you explained it to them, they asked you what makes Altura different from all of those other NFT rug pulls, what would you, quickly tell them if you had 30 seconds or so?
I'd quickly tell them that it's not the investment they think it is. It's an investment that goes way beyond the cash value or the Ethereum value of this fungible token you purchased. It's an investment that goes way beyond you hoping the price of Ethereum goes up in conjunction with the value of each token through each phase of our cycle. It's actually an investment in people's ideas and in a network of people that are trying to be the next Opus Clip, the next ChatGPT, the next, you name it, the next tech brand that solves some major issue that hasn't come up with a way to be solved before. That's what you're actually investing in. So I'll keep my answer quick, but it's an investment beyond the monetary value, and it goes deeper into producing in this world and producing things worthwhile.
Why do you think most people, we could say this for dating, we could say this for the gym, we could say that, why do you think there's a downtrend in terms of commitment to people, to ideas, to projects? Why do you think? Because I think that represents not just NFTs, but people don't stay together as long. People don't work out and stick to their diet as long. What do you think is impacting that so much?
Man, I could give you a lot of answers to that, based on my own beliefs, based on my own observations. I think part of it is just the direction of things our society tends to value, as far as like the changes in direction of which things our society tends to value is a lot different than it has been in decades previous. But I also think, like, if we talk about fitness, or if we talk about NFTs, or if we talk about crypto, if we talk about any of these things that are popular right now, it's also that a lot of people also just want the easy way out. And then the adverse effect of people wanting the easy way out is they do something considerably immoral that causes a lot of people to lose money, but they made a lot of money, and so they get out. And that's as it pertains to investments. But if you talk fitness, like, how quickly have we gone in the fitness industry from people just sharing what it is they do and representing a love for the game, these massive bodybuilders and other competitors that are just posting their lifestyles, to then it was like fitness coaching was popular because you can do that online. And now it's like there's levels of like types of coaches that you can coach the coach that coaches a coach. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just so much saturation. And like, what's the quickest way for me to scale to just an unfathomable amount of money without having to put that much work into it? And that mindset, the average guy like me. So I think the average guy like me feeling like it's not really worth the commitment into this thing because you don't really know what the outcome is going to be. It could just be another one of these guys, selling out to get rich, or I just don't have enough experience to tell the difference.
I think if I had to add to that, the thing I'm seeing is, I think this is all cyclical, and most likely it's that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I think most people are afraid. I think when the economy is bad, when life gets harder to pay your bills, to keep things going, people turn back into animals. You have to survive. It's cutthroat. People don't trust each other in a cutthroat world. When there's excess, when there is abundance, when the market's overflowing, people have more opportunity. People can slow down. People can take more risks on. Right now, it's just people don't know what's coming around the corner next. Social media has made us paranoid. The politics have definitely done that. The markets haven't been good either. And so people are on edge. And that's not the sign to say, well, you shouldn't then launch an NFT collection that's only backed on faith. That's actually the only option we have. Because if we want to prove to ourselves that as human beings, we still have our humanity left, we can decide to do what is hard when times are hard and shift us back and almost protect us from becoming even more animalistic and losing our civility as people to trust in each other. I think the only option we have left is burning the boats, is trusting one another. There's no plan B. I've put expenses for this on my personal credit because I know I'll pay it off, because I know that this will work out. I personally have the resources to go out and make money to pay back the expenses. I'm confident in myself. And now I'm also showing you guys that I'm confident in the fact that this community will succeed too. I've traded in the market. I've pulled personal investments to fund this, and I've cut the distractions. And most of you want to scalp as little as you can and get out, because believing in the broader vision seems like impossible, because there's no leaders stepping forward and saying, I'm willing to put myself on the line here for you guys to have this chance. Even if it blows up, my face will be tied to it. So be it. That's not a rug. That's skin in the game and commitment. And that's why Altura is not just going to end up like the rest. That's why we're different. So yes, as NFTs, as people knew them, were pretty much dead. JPEG speculation is gone. Protocols, movements, dedicated belief systems, they're just being born, and we're very early. On October 1st, Altura is going to have our whitelist. We're going to allow up to 800 of these passports at 0.06 Ethereum, a couple $100, $200 to $300. That's it, to quite literally change your future. How would you explain this to someone about what happens if they miss this window of minting an NFT?
I could explain it from a couple perspectives. Financially, you'll never get another entry point that's that affordable into the structure we built. Not by the design of the company to be greedy, but by the valuation, like by people want into this. And so if you're not going to get in early, you're not going to be able to, ever see those prices again. So from financially, that's my perspective there. But also missing it would essentially be like, it'd be like seeing Bitcoin, in 2013, seeing some dude in the news who sold his house to buy all in Bitcoin when it was, a couple $1,000s, and thinking it's like just another scam. And then 2025, you see it hits an all-time high of $125,000, and it's just, you'll feel nothing but regret. That's what I felt. And once again, not necessarily just for the financial gain, for all of the reasons we've discussed in minutes previous in this podcast about what the value of being a member of this community really is. That's what you're going to be looking back one day and being like, that would have been something that I should have bought into, or that I should have. And when I say bought into, I mean with your whole heart, not with just your wallet. Bought into as in like buying into the vision of what this is going to become and what this is going to mean for a lot of people that have ideas. Just think about just sheer numbers, like the sheer number of people in this world. What percentage of them are responsible for the things that impact our life the most? Like, do you not think that if more people just had access to the tools, the funding, the resources, the networks that the people who did make these things had, do you not think that there'd be more of those kind of ideas out there? That's what you're missing out on. That's what you are foregoing by saying, I think this is just going to be another one of those rug pull instances. NFTs are dead. I don't want any part of this. We're doing our part by saying this is who we truly are. This is what we truly believe in. This is the actual vision. It's going to fall on, it's going to fall on the shoulders of the viewers to be whether or not they want to buy into this vision.
I think I'm just one run of the simulation of life and existence. Like my existence as a whole probably isn't too considerable, honestly. Like I have a good impact on things, but the best thing I can leave behind, and hopefully this is why you see my vision a little more clearly, is because the best thing I can do is not like physically work and like try to like, place as many physical bricks as I can in this world. I need to create leverage. If I want to have the largest impact, I need everyone's help. This isn't another project. It's going to be, in my mind, 100-year plus syndicate. It's going to be your grandkids seeing companies that quite literally are in new high-rise buildings that have competed and given average people like you guys that probably didn't have too much going for them, just like myself, an opportunity to compete with the biggest corporations where they had, unfair advantages, unfair access to schooling, to resources, to families that, gave them everything they needed when most of us had to grind for it. And your grandkid says, damn, that company that I think it's called Microsoft or something, the one that will exist tomorrow, the new Microsoft, like the founder of that, like he was in that Altura community. It's like saying he was part of Skull and Bones, right? Like the Bushes or something like that. They're part of that elite group that seems to change everything about the world itself. And you can say, well, I had the opportunity to buy into that. I could have been a member of that. I could have understood how the world worked. I could have worked with the people and had a lifelong brother or sisterhood to make it a guarantee. And I could have been the one in that company. I could have gave our family the resources they needed. But I let it go because I just didn't want to put the trust in the people at the time. And so let me ask you this. How do you have a network? How do you network with people without trusting them? Without putting your faith that you can have, but somebody's going to have your back. How do you have that guy that's going to come get you out of prison without trusting in that person to be around for you? Like, you can't have friends, you can't have relationships, and therefore you can't succeed to the fullest extent unless you have some sort of faith in people. So ironically, and I was thinking about this, Altura itself, before you ever start, you're forcing yourself to believe in the movement because it doesn't exist yet. We're not funding companies with millions of dollars, but as soon as mint ends, we are. It doesn't, it's Schrodinger's cat. It doesn't exist unless you actually believe it exists and make it happen. It's existing as long as you believe it's there. And therefore, you take the action, you see the vision that I'm painting to you, like the vision in your head, and you make it real on the canvas. And then it becomes real. And the money's in the account. We fund the businesses. I can't do it without you, which is why I'm here asking for your guys' help, because you're going to make this as much as I can make it. And that's the vision that shapes the reality of the future. And when businesses make it harder and harder to succeed, the wealth inequality level surpasses all-time highs as it is now, and it gets harder to even make a living. You're going to wish you were on that side of the fence, essentially. The door is, once the door is closed, it's going to remain closed because we're not minting more. We're not going to provide more opportunities. We're going to take the people that actually believed and run with them and try to make as big of an impact as we can. And then maybe sometime in the future, we'll open it up again. But I want to give you guys the best chance to succeed. I'm going to do everything in my power to make that happen. And before we wrap up, Anthony, I'll give you one more chance to like say something. You met somebody on the street. They understood you were a member of Altura. You get a minute to convince me why I should buy this or why I should invest my time, my resources. Go ahead. I'm a random person.
You should invest in Altura because this isn't because your dollars getting put into this right now is like not even comparable to the reward in terms of like it's almost difficult to explain the reward you get from investing a couple $100 at this point, at this stage in the protocol. Like investing a couple $100 in the protocol in the grand scheme of what this protocol is set to achieve equates to new businesses being started because of your funding. People who otherwise wouldn't have had a chance to start and to implement their ideas into this world, getting given a chance to do so in exchange for, you know, giving you part ownership of the company. And like we said, legal terms, right? But what you're doing is you're essentially investing in a vision set by a group of people, an elite group of people that nothing but to produce in this world and to produce something unique, to produce something that society hasn't really seen in a long time and is very difficult to find. And that is a network of people that want nothing but growth for the people involved, nothing but the best for endeavors in business, are going to achieve this vision, whether you're with them or not. But being a part of it means you also get to be along for that ride. And so for many reasons other than just the financial incentive, joining Altura it 100% could be the thing that changes your life, and you could also be a mechanism that changes other people's lives for the positive and adds eventually, like what we mentioned before, as it what was the word I said, iterates, change even more people's lives and more people's lives and more people's lives. And if that's your kind of thing, then this isn't something you're going to want to miss out on.
And I will even say it will change your life. Like I'm guaranteeing that to you. And most people say, don't guarantee that. You're like making over crazy promises. And the reason I'm saying that is because I don't plan on stopping until that is the case. And if you guys know me, if you know how I've been doing things, like literally like the only way that literally the universe and everything that works around me will have no choice. If I don't plan on stopping, the only logical path is that it exists and that it actually does impact your life. And if I don't plan on doing anything but making that the case, I can confidently come out and guarantee that. Nobody else can guarantee that. I'm going to guarantee that to you guys right now because I know I will make it happen. I have 100% confidence in that fact. You know, like that's the difference that we have. And I apologize, Anthony. I kind of asked you like an impossible question. It's like, how do you convince somebody to buy Bitcoin in 2008 without looking like a lunatic? How do you convince somebody that you have the cure for cancer without, you know, people believing it's the case? Like, how do you get someone to take the pill, right? Like the red pill, if they don't believe that they're in danger, that they are missing an opportunity? It's really, really hard to do. And so the only thing we can do, if you guys understand the reference, right? Like in the Matrix, is show you what life looks like if you don't. And we're trying to express that to you, show you guys, again, I walk through the history of how different NFT projects succeeded, failed, why they got the reputation they did. And back to the very beginning of this episode, my claim was that most people, you know, thought that NFTs were kind of dying off, but it's just that the hype died. And in reality, it's as good as the people running it. And I can tell you that this is my vision. Anthony hopefully has proven that to you too. And I think you remember that I don't know if you remember that lesson in our business major class when they're like, that's the one thing, I don't know if you did you ever take innovation?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, what is the what is the like number one thing that makes that like startup or venture capitalists will look at? And again, something that will help coach you guys on as we actually start investing in startups soon is like you have to look at the team behind it. The team is the only real thing that makes or breaks that. The entrepreneurs that are founding it, the actual person with the idea. If they're committed to the idea, then 9 times out of 10 it's going to succeed. If they're like, we're going to give it our best shot, it's probably not. But I'm bringing the heat. I hope you guys do too. Anthony, plug your fitness account real quick.
Weekly fitness account plug, pump_para. I make fitness content for guys that are interested also in the concept of sovereignty, that believe, as I do, that physical fitness is probably the first step any man can make to mastering his own body, which leads to mastering your own mind. And if you can master those two things, there's nothing that the systems can't take from you. So I advocate for men to take their fitness seriously, be somebody that's dependable, be someone that is a strong figure for their family or otherwise equivalent for immediate circle. And yeah, I just make content around that and what I do to become that man myself. Pump_para on YouTube and Instagram.
I think that's why we're better too, is because we're not trying to be better. We're just regular guys like you. Like I'm just posting videos about shit I feel that is important. Anthony makes some pretty funny videos too. He just posts kind of stuff going on in his life. And like if you guys just comment on our videos or say something, we'll try to talk back to you. Like we're just regular people trying to help out. So I'm not that much further ahead of you guys, which is why honestly I think I'm the perfect person to understand your situation, because I'm still kind of in it myself. And together, this shared belief will get there. I 100% I'm telling you that. Drop into our Discord, which is where all the pre-mint talk and all that stuff is happening, where you guys can chat and earn your whitelist status, which gives you that like much cheaper price on the mint, where you can guarantee an initial profit. And just start being active, be chatting, and we'll recognize you. We'll probably give you some accommodations and rewards from doing that. And anything you guys can do to share the movement helps a lot. I think we're out of time otherwise, but 16 episodes, 4 months of podcasts. Here we are. We're pushing to almost half a year pretty soon. And episode 17 is coming next week. It'll be similar topics, guys. But if you like this, once again, subscribe, like, do whatever you can do to help us grow. And with that said, as I say every time, good night, and I'm rooting for you. Take care.